Ibanez, welcome to Singapore.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
I know you've had a really packed trip the last few days.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
You got one more to go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got 8 questions for you today. The first one is about Ibanez and your relationship with the brand. Is there anything else that really attracted you to Ibanez in the first place?
Well, Tim and I have, our first guitars that we ever got when we were kids were Ibanez guitars. And so we've always kind of had that nostalgic value with them. Tim's always wanted to play them. And when we got the opportunity, we kind of jumped at it. And we really like the guitars too. They're just aesthetically cool and fun
Fast,
to play and
feel good.
Feel really good. Yeah, and they're sick.
Okay, the place is going to be packed out tonight. Everyone's listened to Polyphia and love your music. The style's very, very precise. I've been listening to it and wondering, how do you get that? How do you achieve that?
Pretty much just practice all together. Practice individually, and then we come together and practice as a whole, and just kind of fix up the parts. But yeah.
And when you're working separately, do you use software to kind of stay in touch?
Yeah. I mean, usually the parts are already written, so we're just okay, practice this part, and we'll pick guitar tracks or something like that from the song, and then just stick with one and make sure that they're not there's a lot of guitar tracks, so sometimes you gotta pick the ones that match, I guess, and just kind of roll with it that way.
And do you still spend time practicing?
Oh yeah.
Actually working on your chops?
Yeah.
How many hours would you practice for a day?
I try and get 3 to 4 a day.
Yeah, anywhere from 2 hours to 4 hours seems to be a good amount of time.
On a similar topic, how do you approach the songwriting process? Do many of your tunes grow out of jams, or do you come to the rehearsal room with fixed structures in mind?
There's a lot of different ways that we write music. Sometimes melodies just come straight from the head, and those tend to be the best kind of melodies, where they're just the easiest. They just come out easy and they're easy. And then other times, Scott and I, sometimes we've worked on songs together. Sometimes I'll have a few riffs and he'll end up finishing the song, and he'll have a few riffs and I'll end up finishing the song. And recently we've been doing production first. Scott and I have been really working on producing. So we'll be composing the rhythm sections and everything before we actually layer the guitars on. So.
In some earlier interviews I saw you said you were looking for a vocalist. Are you still looking?
No.
No. There must have been some old interviews.
Yeah,
but yeah, no.
Very old.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about how your sound has developed and changed over time?
We really just like playing things that are fun for us,
whatever we're into currently.
Yeah, music that we like listening to.
It started out as death metal, way back in the day, and then gent kind of stuff for Inspire, and then Muse. Around the time that we did Muse, we discovered radio music and mainstream music, so a lot of pop and hip hop and rap influence, and same with Renaissance. And then our newer stuff is all really electronic, future bassy trap, kind of all the cool SoundCloud genres. So
yeah, so it kind of develops with our interests in music at the time, whatever it is.
Now, I know you've cited classical music as an influence, and you've done some cool versions of Mozart and Bach. I can definitely hear classical influences in some of the stuff you play. What do you think young modern musicians can actually learn from classical music?
Oh, everything.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. He has more experience with the classical stuff than I do, because he actually
really the interesting part about the Mozart and the Bach cover was that, so my brother's a pianist, and he's got a ton of sheet music just lying around the house. So I just took the right hand and the left hand and transcribed it to guitar. I played the right hand and he played the left hand. And the cool thing about that is that, like, for a pianist, this is kind of like doing the melody and this is kind of like holding it down, you know? And then they'll intertwine sometimes. And that's like a really fun way to like go about like composing guitar parts, is making sure that like the whole spectrum is filled, but also like a nice interweaving of like melodies and things like that. So lots of guitarists could learn a lot from just transposing like piano sheet music, just left hand, right hand stuff.
You guys are both from Dallas, right? A lot of great bands have come out of Texas. What was the scene like for you, and what bands influenced you?
We kind of were one of the first instrumental bands to like do our own thing, and
we're
a long time ago we had vocalists, and then we kind of just said like, we don't want vocalists anymore, and we were instrumental, and then it just kind of like worked out for us because, you know, people liked the music anyway, because it didn't really need vocals, I guess, so to speak.
Finally, this place is going to be packed out tonight. A lot of people really interested in Polyphia. Are there any plans to bring the full band out this way?
Yes.
No plans, like,
well, the plans,
written in stone?
Yeah, not written in stone, but yes.
Yeah,
like
we'll be here.
After doing this Asia run and realizing that like everybody, like there's like a ton of demand here, like we're definitely going to be telling our management and agents like, hey, we need to like be doing things here, so.
Yeah, so we'll be back with the Clays, and it'll be sick.
Yeah, it's really cool to step foot in a place that you've never been to ever, and there's people that are just, I don't know, last night, like when we were meeting everybody, like people were like crying and like shaking their hands, like you're my idol, kind of things like that. It's just like, wow, that's the coolest thing in the world.
It's pretty crazy.
So,
well, thank you very much indeed for coming to Singapore.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you.